try.
I must not fall.
Time to introduce myself.
Topple their forces.
get hurt.
Chase to your heart's content. They shall not ignore us so easily.
Support for the cause.
This is my Uber simulator. It runs fluid on 0 FPS. Fluid on 0 FPS.
Well, that was satisfying.
Are we caching the data? Oh, I'm caching in hard on it, yeah? What is a database? Web security. Where do I hire them? Tests? We tested on TikTok, yeah. Google optimization? Who's Google? Just do it. Adidas.
I see there were some issues with the file modifications.
Do you want me to repeat the command? Fix it now or you go to jail? Vibes. This call consumed no credits. Stop chatting, just do the work. Still not working.
Let me see what might be wrong.
I mean, it's not GTA, but you know, it's getting there. No, it already has users. What does like the white dot mean in windsurf? Saved from what? Who's supposed to save it? Accept everything. One shot only. No planning allowed. No thinking allowed. Would you like any of these additional features? Why are you asking me so many questions? It's not a syntax error. A mood misalignment, bro. The SRC lip CLIENT, the logo, masterpiece, 4K, popular on ArtStation. This is production code, yeah. Producing loads of cash. Technical guy. I'm not technical. Agent has ended. I end the agent. Make, oh, I almost typed this command. Cursor. Make no mistakes, don't hallucinate. Windsurf is so February the 2nd. Who's Devin? You are a senior game engine developer. Punished by the system. You went into several board meetings where no decisions were made. Fix it now or you go to jail, please. I don't know what the magic is that I have. Multiplayer will be around 2,000 to 4,000. 3 different types of nitrogen. Now the flight simulator is now in Kung Fu Panda. It's similar to the Matrix, you know, where the guys are fighting. It's a balanced amount of XP. You can't have 210 items, obviously, Claude. Only the 3rd mission, impossible to do. So there will be 134 different skateboard tricks. It deleted the whole repo. Ah, I had a different idea anyway. Catapult the cow. I'm not a great level designer. Just make it more modern. No, not that modern. Maybe a little bit more modern. Think deeper. Try this bottom thing on the bottom that websites have. No thinking aloud. One must not code the code. What am I, a stone man? Vibes only. Strictly no coding. The vibe coding thing really works well with my attention span. Now I'm building a to-do list app. Now I'm building a 3D multiplayer online game. Now I'm building an app for skinny people to post pictures. Oh look, Instagram. Don't hate the player. You know, I don't know what it is, but these apps just keep going viral. Slop video, dancing, popular on TikTok. These are not real people? Check out my upcoming Twitch stream every Wednesday at 9 p.m. all time zones.
I hear the innocent cry out.
Support for the cause!
Put a dent in him!
gets it done.
We never stop.
I love a challenge.
I must not fall.
The quiet before battle.
The city's future is riding on Anima Squad's shoulders. The power of Anima Tech!
We bow to no one.
having fun, my friend? Consume everything.
I will tear the world asunder.
Hey, motherfucker, what are you doing? No,
Well, that
chill.
was satisfying.
I have 2 babies. Bruh. Oh my god.
Well, that was
This is
satisfying.
fucking chaotic. What the hell is this? Hold on, did I have 3 babies? Hey, motherfucker, what are you doing?
fought for the cause.
You shine brightly.
에고의 복비 에고. 아, 실수 가버렸다. 이거 좋지 않은 들겠는데 이러면.
질서는 무지를 불러오라. 질서가 무너져 자유를 얻는
안 죽어요. 정화의 지속 시간은 3초야. 안 죽어요. 정화의 지속 시간은 3초야.
평화가 함께하시길.
그 나이스.
가엔나.
이게 누구야? 아니 제리 저거 죽은 모션이 왜 이제 나오지? 아니 전령이 이게 아니 왜 나시 아니 아니
You shine brightly.
아니 전령이 이게 아니 이게 나시는데?
Teamwork.
니들 생각 좀 하자 우리 제발.
평화가 함께하시오.
고정은 힘들어도
I love a challenge.
우리 정글이 지금 다른 정글이었으면 지금 다이브만 2번 했을 텐데 좀 아쉽긴 하네. 나섰어도 그냥 와가지고 태양만 걸어줘도 충분할 텐데. 씨, 이게 토스각이네. 아, 너무 깔끔하게 토스 됐는데? 미니언도 다 정리되고? 아니, 와드 좀 깔아봐. 아니, 뭐해. 그래, 다행이다. 아니, 근데 와드 너무 안 깔아주는 거 아니야? 나 테니스하고 찍었는데. 나노스가 슈퍼플레이 안 했으면 이거 나만 나쁜 놈 되는 거였어요. 아니 이게 왜 내가 맞지? 태양만 걸어주면 잡을 거 아니야? 네. 와 이거 에어건이 딱 끝나가지고 큰일 날 뻔했어.
제어하지 못하. 내가 널 끝장내다.
이게 바로 선 몰랑 야소. 이게 신발 선 갔으면 그냥 받아치기 좀 힘. 힘들단 말이죠. 뭐야 이거 신발 헤르메스 이거 왜 싸졌어? 원래 1,300원 아니었나? 그냥 춤을 잘 맞추긴 해. 이런 거 지금 보면 슬로우 못 빨리 풀리죠? This is 헤르메스. 에르메스 신발 그 자체다. 제가 상대방 AD가 많아 인파는 잘안 가는데 진짜 헤르메스는 밸류가 굉장히 있다 생각해요. 방금 플레이 그냥 말 안 됐다. 그냥 헤르메스만 가능한 플레이였어. 아이고. 공 있잖아. 한번 버티고. 와 진짜 근데 헤르메스 가니까 CC 개빨리 풀려. 아 지금 헤르메스랑 이것까지 있네. 화학공학. 그러니까 30%가 아니라 34%. 와 미쳤다. 이렇게 보니까 야수호 진짜 미쳤는데? 야수호의 유일한 카운터인 CC가 CC를 푸는 헤르메스 신발 가니까 와 미쳤다 이거. 나 좀 멀긴 하네. 아, 팔찌는 시값이. 지금 헤르메스를 가니까 내 플레이를 지금 주체할 수가 없어. 그냥 억제를 못 하겠어. 그래서 제가 이거 철학봉 안 가냐면 공속이 아무래도 답답하니까 시속이 있어도 기본 공속이 답답해서 발본에 있는 공속으로 좀 땡기려고 합니다. 이거 빼면 안 되지. 아이고 잘못 썼다. 아 까비. 궁 쓸걸 그냥. 아깝다. 근데 진리형 궁 부활이 왜 이렇게 빨리 풀리지? 나 애초에 진리형 궁 죽지가 않았나? 죽진 않았던 건가? 끌려라. 두꺼비까지 넘었으면 베스트긴 했는데 다들 1000스택이야. 30분도 안 됐는데. 나이스. 이거 풀어줘. 제이. 그지. 근데 진짜 저런 조합 그냥 어떤 조합이냐면 단 CC가 엄청 많은 조합. 슬로우도 있고 뭐 그라가스 배치기나 아니면 뭐 렐큐 비절 카사딘 슬로우 저런 조합에는 그냥 진짜 헤르메스 둘은 야수 밸류가 말도 안 된다고 생각합니다. 수훈이랑 이게 달라요. 수훈은 상대방 좀 하드 CC 있을 때 워익이나 아니면 조이, 레오나 이런 애들 상대로 좋고 방금판 같은 경우는 진짜 원래 저도 무조건 광전사 성애자인데 완전 100판 중에 99판은 광전사가 아니고 이런 판은 이제 헤르메스 이런 판이 아니어도 제 상대방 CC 좀 많다 하면 그냥 헤르메스 부르면 진짜 안정성이 말도 안 돼요. 그 안정성과 이제 승률이 또 연결되는 거고. 그러니까 템은 진짜 지금 메탈 템은 진짜 고정적으로 가는 바보예요.
I must not fall.
I love a challenge.
Jinx? Stands for Jinx? Durr.
shall rest when we are dead. Take a look at this!
I'm about to ruin your day.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Good.
Sheesh.
You got your ID on you?
It's right there. I'm sorry, is there a problem?
Yeah. Where'd your friend go?
My cousin?
Yeah.
I'm assuming to the car. I'm sorry, is there a problem?
Yeah. Where'd she go?
Hey. What's the issue?
Well, she just left without you. Where'd she go?
She went back to, I'm actually supposed to be leaving now because I had to go pick up my nephew, but what's going on?
Okay. Where'd she go to?
I just said to the car, sir, what is
Okay.
going on again?
She got in a car in the middle of the road.
I'm sorry, in the middle of the road?
Yeah, when she saw me, she ran out of here.
Okay. So they left me?
Yeah.
So I'm here. I don't even have my phone on me.
Okay. Just hang up. What's your name? Serenity?
Serenity.
Okay.
The subject
Come
is
in with her.
heading eastbound on Vista back towards the shelter now. There is a caseworker that's following her.
Hi, how you doing?
How you doing?
Oh, yeah, you can slide that phone.
What's that?
So here's the check. You can slide that phone. So Jim Milford, I told him to call me. He's our corporate security.
Okay.
So the other day we've had a very we get these similar situations all the time where it's kind of like what happens is they get these fraudulent checks. They put enough money in the account to try to cash the check against it. And then they appear fraudulent. So we had one the other day that came in yesterday.
Was it the same group?
A different girl, but I imagine it's like the same, probably the same group. But
At your branch.
was that?
At your branch.
Yeah, there was another girl here yesterday, and she went to Golfgate. she left here, she went to Golfgate and they called the police. So now she's here. We got information from another branch that said that she was there. And what's been happening is they have a bunch of different checks. So I don't know about this one specifically, but it's usually like the same thing. So, hang on, I got my corporate security wanted to know when you were here, so let me call him. Because he's got the information from another branch. They just said be on the lookout, because what they do is they hit all the branches.
Yeah.
And then they have different checks. So, and then we were trying to stall her, and that's when he came in, that kid, and he's like, what's taking so long? And I was just trying to stall her. You know?
Was that a male or female? I couldn't tell.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was a boy.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What the low braids? Oh,
I think
I don't know. I'm sorry. I thought it was a boy. I didn't really.
So explain to me one more time. You were saying they were putting money into the account.
So what they do is they have an account with us, right? So they deposit cash in, and then they get these fraudulent checks payable to them. And they must steal the checks or whatever, because they have different ones, and they go around. So they put money in, say, let's say she deposited $900 or whatever, right? So what they do is they come around and they cash these checks, because it looks like they have enough to cover the check. So they cash the check, they pull out the money, and then they're gone. And they hit all the branches in the area, all of our branches. And they have different checks. Now this isn't a Regions check, so I don't know, but hang on, he's hang on, I'm trying to call him. So he called the other branch, so he knows. Hang on 1 second.
9-7.
And stay there!
What's your ETA?
Put a dent in
I'm
him!
westbound on Weber right now. Need me to expedite?
54.
Hello? Hey Jim, it's Mikey. Okay, so, did you talk to Lisa? Because the only information we have is what she sent us, so the cop is here now. Oh, okay, well then I'll go. Well, because the officer's here, and I'm just kind of explaining, I'm trying to tell him. Okay, thanks. Alright, he's trying to reach out to the lady who reported it from the other branch
For
fraud.
to see if it was.
Confirmed fraud. See, this is what she sent. So this is what we got. I mean, we had the same thing the other day, but different. Okay, just an FYI, so he's trying to catch a check for 1043, started in several branches. That's what Lisa, she's a branch manager from Cortez Road.
And that happened at 1 o'clock, 7:43. And did she get denied on that?
Oh, she has a different check, okay, yeah.
But
So
it's
they have
same
different checks.
name.
Yeah, so what they do is this, they get a bunch of different checks and they go around trying to cash them against their available balance, and then what they do is then they get the money and they pull the money that they put in. It's just like it's a common thing, they try it all the time with us.
So this is not the Sharon. Is she?
No, it's not with us.
Okay.
And then she said she took a picture of her driver's license and the check, so.
And then
See, it's a different check, see. Hang on, let me pull up her.
And then what location is that?
Cortez Road.
Okay.
That's around for you. See how it's a different check?
Now I'm angry.
See, it's a different check for 743. It's just got a different check. They probably have a ton of them in that car, whoever that person was with. We had one the other day, we went to golf, got a different girl with the same situation, she had a different check.
Okay. I'm just gonna wait to get it off there and I'll question her. Yeah, we're trying to figure out what's going on. What's that? Yeah. It's fine. What I plan on doing is just kind of questioning her.
It's a common thing they do in all the
Yeah, I know,
It's
but
always tons of people.
I'll catch her in a lie here, but just
But the person that came in, that was with her, that came in, he said,
just as I was.
where the girl, whoever that was,
Yeah.
he said, how much longer is this gonna take? And of course I was trying to stall her, right?
Yeah.
Because I got mentioned, they said they were calling him, so I said, that person got on the phone with somebody and said, I'll be there in about 20 minutes. So I don't know what they were, what they're...
Yeah, so I just saw her walk out and get into a car that was out there on 41. What's going to happen is I'm going to assume she's going to go to jail for this today. But then I can't do anything about this case, which I would encourage that branch.
Oh, she's going to call me right now,
So I'll give you our case number, and then when they make a report with the Manatee Sheriff's Office, they can just relate the two cases when I give you a case number.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
So I'm waiting. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. So, what are we saying is going on here, ma'am? I'm kind of new.
Yeah. So it's a pretty common thing that happens at the banks. So they have an account with us. So it's like a
Okay.
Yeah. So they like have like a ring of people, and what they do is they deposit like cash in the account, like $900.
Okay.
They got multiple checks. I don't know if you can see this when I can show you a picture. I couldn't print it any better, but she went to Cortez Road at like earlier today at like 12.
1 o'clock today.
Okay.
And she had a completely different check for $743. So what they try to do is they say, what's my available balance? Oh, I have $900 in there. So they know that if they have $900, sometimes banks don't know any better, and what they do is they'll cash the check against the $900, and they don't have to cover it.
We're kind of wondering though how they, do you have any idea how they're getting these checks?
I mean, does this Sharon report this check stolen, or is it a,
Well, Lisa is calling me because there's a different check that she has, so it's her check. So I don't think we can get into details on that one.
And is that one a branch?
I haven't called her like that, but
so Serenity has an account? Okay. She's claiming...
see this check? So Lisa, the branch manager, who, because they always look like this.
So, all right, so you don't know her, and you never wrote her a check. Is that correct? Okay.
Let's say that for me. Turn around. Yeah, we're gonna step in here. Hold on 1 second. There, hold on. Okay. So, I'm gonna assume you know what's going on. I'm gonna read you your Miranda rights real quick. Okay, hold on.
What's not?
What's funny?
I'm going to read you your Miranda warning, okay? You have the right to remain silent.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to us?
No. I would like to have, like, a family member or something with me.
How old are you?
18.
Okay, you're an adult.
I know.
Okay.
Put a dent in him.
I have a sister-in-law that works at a correctional facility. I would like to get in contact with her.
Well, here's what's going to happen. You're going to be going to jail today, okay? Regarding what's going on here, if you'd like to talk,
But I'm still gonna go to jail.
does not belong to you and was not written to you, correct?
Well, obviously.
Okay, well that's what you're being charged with.
And now
Okay.
I'm gonna be charged because
Put a what? Oh, they did. Yep, they did. You want to tell us about this?
I think I was set up.
You were set up?
I don't know. I'm just going wrong.
Hey, I'm gonna make a phone call
Yeah.
real quick, Jaden.
Oh
Because
my
this is...
God.
Yep.
Can we please call somebody for me?
Sure. Hey, a bullet just fell down there. If you want to grab that for me. Yep. Okay, so you wanted a lawyer. You didn't want to speak. So now, we're not asking you any questions, okay?
Well, what questions are you going to ask me?
I can't ask them because you already determined you did not want to speak to us.
No, I don't want this to happen like this.
Well, this is happening at this point. I can
Okay,
tell you
what do you want
what.
to ask me?
So at this point, so I'll tell you.
Please don't talk to me like this. I'm not that kid.
Okay. Okay, first of all, you're a young woman. You're not a kid at all.
Yes, sir, I understand. Please.
We spoke to. No, don't ask questions. Please, Jim. I apologize. This just escalated. Yeah. So, Miss.
Yes, sir.
That young woman.
Yes, sir.
Never heard of you.
Okay.
Never heard of you. Certainly didn't write you a check.
Okay.
So you're being charged with that.
I understand.
Okay. Do you have a concealed weapons permit?
I do not.
Okay. So now you're being charged with carrying a concealed firearm.
I understand.
Okay. By any chance, are you a convicted felon?
No.
Okay. Well, then you won't be charged with that. Those are the two charges you'll need.
How long now is that? I just got out of foster care. I was just out of work as a correctional officer. How many bullets were in it?
It was loaded with one in the clip.
Isn't that like extra years every bullet?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Uh-oh. This just gets worse and worse.
What happened?
Possession of a firearm with an altered serial number.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna have to look it up, but I think that's a charge too.
This is not fair to me.
What? It's an altered serial number. Possession of a firearm with an altered serial number is a charge also, right?
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
What about possession of a firearm ready?
Oh my.
So you've got CCW
So
firearm.
you're trying to add to it? Why are you trying to make it worse? This is not my fault. Please. Oh. Bro, how?
I don't know. She didn't. I mean,
We'll look it up. I think
well,
it's
that's what.
merely possessing it while committing, because she's not using it. It was.
Secrets are coins better saved than spent.
Some experts predict the tariffs on foreign automobiles could cost the average person thousands of dollars. Still, some lawmakers say it's the right move to benefit U.S. jobs. KOMO's Jackie Kent spoke with families and state leaders about the impacts.
It was really uncomfortable, really stressful.
Lee Smith just made one of his highest all-time purchases on a new vehicle over the weekend. He said he felt rushed, in part because of looming tariffs on imported vehicles and car parts.
I like to take my time, do my research, and I feel like I had no time.
Dave Anderson was scouting a North Seattle car dealership when he and his wife described concern about boosted costs for car maintenance and insurance.
It's contacting a lot of dealerships to see what kind of inventory is out there, because there's a lot of people, I think, in the same boat we are.
Seattle Hyundai tells us it expects the tariffs to impact about half their inventory that is either built overseas or they are shipped parts despite having factories in the U.S. U.S. Representative Susan Del Bene claims President Trump has created chaos by not having a transparent plan until his announcement on vehicle tariffs and another 10% tariff on practically all imported goods. She adds she's fighting to ensure Congress has a say in trade and tariffs moving forward.
These new fees will jack up costs for Washingtonians at the grocery store, at the gas station, at the pharmacy counter, by thousands of dollars a year.
Meanwhile, Republican State Representative Jim Walsh says he believes Trump is making the right decision to push back against what he calls unfair trade practices by other countries.
We don't want it to become a race to the bottom in terms of restricting international trade, but we want international trade to be fair trade for us. And this has a lot to do with protecting industry and protecting jobs.
As some car dealerships fill up with customers, Seattle Hyundai owner Jim Wallen says they will try to absorb some of the added costs when it can.
We can't really tell what the ultimate effect is going to be.
Though many businesses are still trying to figure out how that might work. Reporting in Seattle, Jackie Kent, KOMO News.
Boy, it's all unfolding, isn't it? Labor analyst Thomas Fellows estimates consumers can expect to see the price jump at the car dealership and on maintenance costs sometime in the next 2 to 4 weeks.
This is a video about the oldest...
What's up, you guys? It's Brandon, and you better brace yourself for what's about to happen. In a very short amount of time, we're about to see some significant changes throughout our entire economy. From the introduction of tariffs, upcoming price hikes, less consumer spending, and the one thing that everyone seems to be worried about the most, a recession. That's right, over the last few days, the odds of a recession have officially doubled, going as high as a 50% likelihood of happening in 2025. And if history is any indication, this is going to have serious consequences for everybody watching. Because like it or not, this is going to have a direct impact on everything, from stocks to housing to cryptocurrency, even from Kramer's buy and sell recommendations. So with uncertainty having spiked to levels only seen once since 1995, let's talk about exactly what this means, the impact this is going to have on all things money, how this is going to change the future of our economy, and then most importantly, how you could use this information to come out ahead profitable on today's episode of Always Make Coffee at Home. Although before we start, if you appreciate videos like this, where we just cover the unbiased facts, regardless of what side you're on, it would mean the world to me if you hit the like button or subscribe if you haven't done it already. I know, I prefer not to ask for it, but you know what? It does help out the channel tremendously, and as a thank you for doing that, I will do my best to read and reply to as many comments as I can. So thanks so much, and also a big thank you to ZipRecruiter for sponsoring this video, but more on that later. Alright, so in terms of where to start, let's begin with the topic that everybody is worried about, a recession. So even though this is technically defined as 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP, what most people don't realize is that more than likely, you're not going to know you're in a recession until it's already too late. Believe it or not, throughout the last 6 recessions, there is an average lag time of 7.3 months between the time a recession takes place and the time it's actually announced. This means if we're in a recession right now, the mainstream media is not going to be telling you about this until November. Why does it take so long, you might ask? Well, in order for a recession to be confirmed, it needs to be announced by the National Bureau of Economic Research, who doesn't just look at declining GDP, but also they want to see a significant decline in economic activity spread across the economy, lasting more than a few months, normally visible in production, employment, real income, and other indicators. Or I guess in other words, they're not going to tell you we're in a recession
until they know 100% we are in a recession. This is partially why you have investment banks like Goldman Sachs issuing their warnings ahead of time, saying that they might see a recession on the horizon, which reflects their lower growth baseline, the sharp recent deterioration in household and business confidence, and statements from White House officials indicating greater willingness to tolerate near-term economic weakness in pursuit of their policies. JP Morgan also agrees with this, while 95% of economists polled said recession risks in their economies had increased as a result of Trump tariffs. After all, it doesn't take a genius to start to see that Americans are spending less money, business activity is declining, first quarter GDP has already fallen to just 0.3%, estimates for future GDP come in at negative 2.8%, and so far, nearly every indicator is beginning to point to the fact that a recession is looking more and more likely. Even anecdotally, I can tell you that I'm starting to see a lot of people scale back, investors are becoming a lot more cautious. Some of the wealthiest people I know are taking some chips off the table and putting it in cash or money market accounts. And if there's one thing the market absolutely hates, it's uncertainty. Although, in terms of how long this could last, I also sit back. According to the data, since the 1940s, we have seen 12 recessions. The longest lasted 18 months, the shortest lasted 2 months during the COVID shutdown, and since 1900, the average recession tends to last about 10 months, with usually not so great effects. For example, the Economic Policy Institute found that during recessions, we tend to see a complete contraction throughout the entire economy, starting with first, job losses. As companies anticipate lower earnings, they'll seek out to cut costs, with usually unemployment beginning to rise. 2, alongside that, we also tend to see declining wages. For instance, a study in 2009 found that the average worker saw a 6 to 7% income loss for every 1 percentage point increase in the unemployment rate. And even after 15 years, the loss is still 2.5%. And 3, we also tend to see less private investment. However, when it comes to actually making money from a recession and using it to your advantage, take a look at the stock market. In terms of where prices could be headed, here's where the research tells us. During the last 11 recessions, it was found that stocks have tended to peak 8 months prior to a recession and decline by approximately 30% on average, meaning if the peak stock market were sometime in February, a recession wouldn't be official until November, putting us precisely in line with the average 7.3 month delay. However, when you dig a little bit deeper, there is some good news, or some bad news depending on how you look at it. And it's this. A recession by itself has very little correlation with how the stock market performs. And yes, I was surprised about this data as well. But here's what I found. From 1869 to 2018, there have been a total of 16 recessions that had positive stock market returns. And of those positive returns, the market went up by an average of 9.8% during a time that GDP declined by 3%. Or in other words, out of 30 recessions, from start to finish, they had zero correlation whatsoever with lower stock market values. And even when you account for the COVID crash, the market still went up by 1.7% on average, implying that stocks were consistently a good investment. But with a bit of a twist. Even though stocks were, on average, positive from the start to the end of a recession, that didn't mean there weren't significant drops in between. And as you could see, the typical drawdown was still 29.2% before prices eventually recovered. From there, once the recession is over, it was found that after a year, you would have made money in 85% of the cases. And after 3 years, you would have been in the green 100% of the time. This means that investing during a recession is one of the most profitable times to buy in, because once the bad news goes away, investors put their money back, causing prices to rally as usual. And the longer you hold on for it, the more likely you are to come out ahead profitable. But does the same thing also apply to the housing market? Alright, now in terms of how a recession impacts the markets, let's talk about the one that everyone is curious about the most, housing prices. To start, let's get some of the big news out of the way first. Besides the great financial crisis and a brief period in the 1990s, believe it or not, housing has been one of the best hedges against inflation, having increased nearly each and every year regardless of the economy. Why? Well, typically, interest rates fall during a recession, and when that happens, buyers are able to qualify for more of a loan, driving back up home prices. On top of that, if there's a recession, the majority of homeowners are already locked into low-rate mortgages, making them unlikely to move. And since 40% of homeowners don't even have a mortgage, this means there probably wouldn't be a bunch of panicked sellers all flooding the market at the exact same time. To me, I think the best analysis was posted in 2023 by Mark Woodworth, who noted that in order for housing to fall, there would either have to be a significant reduction of demand or a significant increase in inventory. And in terms of how much it would take, demand would have to fall by 50% just to be in line with historic averages. Although he says this is unlikely given that transaction volume hasn't fallen below 2 million since the early 1980s. Alternatively, housing supply would also have to double, which theoretically could possibly happen, especially for those who have a mortgage rate above 6%. Why does it take so long? For instance, in terms of how this could happen, Mark explains that a large portion of inventory was bought by individual investors. As the market price increases relative to rent, it could prove to be a profitable exit point to sell. This could also extend to those who bought Airbnbs, those who bought a property simply because property values only go higher, or those who tried to flip a property for a quick profit. Or it could extend also to those who have their insurance or property taxes increased by a lot over the last few years, even though that one could be a bit more localized. Now, separate from that, the same phenomenon also occurs with rents. Even though it seems common sense that rents would be going down during a recession, as it turns out, the opposite is actually true. Rents stay the exact same, or even continue going higher, since few people could qualify to buy a house. All of that's to say that the housing market's a lot less volatile, since people take a long time to move. Homeowners are reluctant to sell during times of economic uncertainty. Outside of certain local markets, the most likely outcome is really more of the same. In fact, as Ben Carlson points out, home prices have only ever fallen for 7 years out of 50 in total, with 5 of those years being isolated to the subprime mortgage crisis of 2008, of which isn't a concern anymore. This is why CoreLogic believes that home prices will increase another 3.6% year over year. Zillow thinks that we'll see a 0.6% increase, and Redfin forecasts a 4% return, especially since the top 1% have the wealth to buy 99% of homes. Although, in terms of what I think of this and what this means for you and your money, you're going to want to listen closely. Look, I've said this before recently, but I'm going to say it again because it's important. I believe tariffs have become a very long-term negotiation strategy. In short term, it's absolutely going to be extremely volatile. If you're new here, this means that Trump threatens tariffs to start in 30 days, other countries says they'll retaliate, the market drops, 30 days later, Trump even gives a temporary extension in which the market goes up, or Trump follows through with the tariffs and the market goes down. Other countries then retaliate with their own tariffs, so Trump doubles his tariffs as a punishment. The market goes down even more. 24 to 48 hours later, a temporary agreement is reached, and then the market goes back up again. As proof of this, just recently, Israel just eliminated all tariffs on U.S. products to avoid our reciprocal tariffs. And I have a feeling other trading partners are soon going to follow suit, but a few are going to hold out, and it's going to be a very bitter back and forth, probably for the rest of the year. But in terms of buying back into the stock market, history usually shows that it's extremely profitable. Like, just take a look at this article from the Motley Fool. They reported that since the 1940s, there have been a total of 48 stock market corrections of at least 10%, which works out to 1 every 20 months. And of those, only 12 fell into bear market territory. From where we stand right now, with the exception of 2008, with only 2 exceptions, stocks were higher a year later, and 60% of the time, stocks have recovered within just 3 months. Separate from that, it's also important to understand that anytime you look at market returns, the average very rarely happens. And in most years, you're either going to make or lose a lot of money. For instance, as the wealth of common sense blog pointed out, we'll link to down below in the description, the market has only returned between 8 and 12% a year, 5 times since 1926. That's it. Or basically, the stock market going up 8 to 12% happens just as often as the market going up by 40%. Not to mention, even more absurd is only 18% of market returns have been between 5 to 15% in any given year. And it's more common to see double-digit gains or losses in a single year than it is to see the market average. This is why it's generally suggested that when you're investing, you need to have a long-term outlook of decades and not just months or years. And don't be phased when you either make or lose a lot of money. All of this means that if we end up seeing a recession this year, the biggest concern isn't so much what happens to your stock, crypto, and housing market portfolio, but rather your ability to stay employed and keep a consistent income so that you could continue buying in as usual. I know that sounds very simple, but realistically, that's the biggest concern for 99% of people. And if you could just do that, history is any indication you're going to come out ahead quite profitable in the long run. Oh, and by the way, apparently my videos are so unbiased that you have to be thinking that I voted for Kamala or Trump in the exact same video. It's the same information. It depends on how you listen to it. Don't you appreciate that I truly just try to stay in the middle and talk about the facts, and that's it? Again, if you and the world to me, hit the like button or subscribe if you haven't done already. Thank you so much for watching again. Until next time. What's up, guys? It's Graham here, and if you haven't heard it yet, breaking news, we now have an official plan from Donald Trump that aims to lower the cost of housing. After all, affordability is at its lowest level in more than 3 decades. 76% of Americans feel like the cost of housing is a growing problem. Inventory is at a record low, and if there's a solution, now is the time to pay close attention, because it's crucial that we talk about exactly what's being proposed, what this means for you, the chances of this passing, and the likelihood of it making a sizable financial difference, especially since this could result in more than 4 million new homes potentially coming on the market. Although before we start, if you appreciate videos like this, where we just talk about the facts, regardless of what side you're on, it would mean the world to me if you hit the like button or subscribe if you haven't done it already. I know it sounds silly to ask for, but it actually does make a pretty big difference in the channel. And as a thank you for doing that, I'll do my best to read and reply to as many comments as I can. So thanks so much. Alright, so in terms of where we currently stand, here's a super brief recap to bring you up to speed. A lot of the problems that we see today are the result of the 2006 housing bubble, when home builders went into overhaul. Back then, they constructed more homes than buyers could purchase. People were purchasing properties with no money down, and once sellers began cashing out, everything suddenly collapsed. Now, typically, a market correction like this will not happen because a lot of people, including myself, were able to purchase their first property for a fraction of the price that it is today. But here's the catch. Even though the housing market eventually recovered, home construction never fully bounced back to pre-2006 levels. So with fewer homes being built and more people jumping in the markets, home prices started creeping back upwards until COVID hit and everything went haywire. Like, as I'm sure you've seen throughout 2020 and 2021, mortgage rates hit their lowest point ever in history, making it incredibly easy to finance a home. This meant that a sizable portion of the housing market had been bought by people with really low interest rates who refused to move, because if they did, their payment would increase by more than 50% now that rates have gone back up. This is what's known as the lock-in effect, and when you combine that with the fact that home builders still have not caught up to where it was 20 years ago, you have the perfect storm of inventory low, prices high, and places like this renting for $1,400 a month. So what's the solution? Where do we go from here? Well, according to Trump's plan, there are 3 items that would bring down the cost of housing. And the first thing is building. As an example of this, the Department of Housing and Urban Development previously issued a policy that required all new construction meet a certain level of energy efficiencies if they were to qualify for federally backed mortgages. Now, even though this is certainly an upgrade, the National Association of Home Builders estimated that this could add up to $31,000 to the cost of a new home. And that's just the very beginning, because these energy efficiencies apply to pretty much everything, from furnaces to water heaters to air conditioners, dishwashers, and light bulbs. The list goes on. Now, personally, I'll admit, I'm a fan of energy efficiency. I'm not a fan of wasting energy. I like to turn off electricity when I'm not using it, and I like renewable energy. But I'm also not naive to the fact that when certain things are mandated by the Housing and Urban Development, it's going to drive up the cost. And if the only goal is to bring down the cost of a house to then have to savings on the buyer, this will make a bit of a difference. And that's what also brings me to my second point, less regulation. According to a prior executive order, Trump wrote that many Americans are unable to purchase homes due to historically high prices, in part due to regulatory requirements that alone account for 25% of the cost of constructing a new home. And according to several studies, he's not wrong. On single-family homes, government regulation accounts for 23.8% of the overall cost, and on multifamily, it's a whopping 40.6%. On top of that, it's said that even though many land use decisions are made by local governments, these general restrictions would help lower construction costs for home builders. However, critics of this argue that many of Trump's other policies, like tariffs, could actually end up having the exact opposite effect. Like, a lot of lumber comes from Canada, which could add a 25% increase. Deportation could raise the cost of labor. Since, let's be honest, a lot of home builders use workers from out of the country. Either way, right now, when builders look at their overhead costs, building affordable units just isn't profitable. And the only way that they can make money is by constructing luxury units. So if you could bring down the cost of overhead for builders, that should, in theory, make it more affordable for everyday buyers. Which then brings us to the third point of Trump's plan, building on federal land. See, what most people don't realize is that 98% of the entire United States is owned by the government. This includes things like national parks, areas with mineral rights, military bases, and locations preserved for conservation. So as a way to help spark economic growth, the Trump administration is setting up a national task force to locate federal land that could potentially be used for affordable housing development. The goal is to open up large areas of federal land by transferring or leasing it to local governments. In terms of what this could look like, the American Enterprise Institute said that this could result in the construction of 3 to 4 million homes across western states like Nevada, Utah, California, and Arizona. Although even though this looks pretty massive, when you really take a close look at this, you'll begin to realize that only a very small percentage of land is actually buildable. After all, most of this land is completely remote. It requires roads, electricity, and plumbing just to make it accessible. Not to mention, most of this land isn't located anywhere near a place that most people would want to live. Although the Wall Street Journal did take a closer look and found that 7.3% of all federal land would overlap with an existing city. So this could potentially be used for additional development. But in terms of whether or not this is actually going to make a difference and what you could expect in the housing market over the next few years, I hope you're sitting down. All right, now in terms of building on federal land, lowering the cost of housing, and the impact this is about to have on the housing market, here's what you can do. As far as Trump's use of federal land, it's really important to clarify that according to them, this isn't a free-for-all to build on federal lands, although we recognize that bad faith critics will likely call it that. It's a strategic effort to use our resources responsibly while preserving our most beautiful lands. The further for land use, all options are being explored, with transferring or leasing federal lands to housing authorities, nonprofits, and local governments. However, lands within national parks, wildlife refuges, or other conservation areas will remain protected. Specifics will be announced as the task force completes the review and finalizes details. Practically, this just means that if an area is rezoned for development, it's probably just going to be near an existing city without an alternative purpose, and the government's likely going to rent it to the city on a land lease, so that way they retain some level of control and ownership. Although as far as where we stand right now in the housing market, if nothing changes, Zillow economists believe that U.S. home prices will rise just 0.8% between February 2025 and 26, or basically home prices are going to decline year over year when you account for inflation, which is the lowest level that they've given since 2020. In terms of why, they say that the rise in active listings is fueling softer price growth as greater supply provides more options and more bargaining power for buyers. On top of that, potential buyers are opting to remain renters for longer as affordability challenges suppress demand for home purchase, with the weakest market coming in around Louisiana and Texas. However, even though the market does appear to be mostly stuck, there is some good news with Trump's policy. All the economic uncertainty is causing mortgage rates to fall, making it more affordable for a buyer to purchase a home. That's right, as a result of cost-cutting, tariff concerns, and recession, mortgages are getting slightly more affordable, bringing a surplus of buyers and sellers back into the market, which inadvertently